Hey. Good afternoon, everyone, and what a joy it is to be here with you today. And my intention is to inspire you to jump into life. And I remember sitting on the bluffs in Del Mar one morning. It was crystal clear day, skies azul, blue, white clouds, and the ocean was reflecting the sun. And there in front of me were a pod of dolphins swimming by. And I was excited because I'd always wanted to swim with the dolphins. And so there they were, and I ran down the bluff, across the sand, got into the water about up to my knees, and I began to freeze up with fear. My head started making a lot of sense to me. It said, Christian, what are you doing? This is not your turf. Matter of fact, it is water, and you don't breathe under the water like those guys, and they're big, and they're moving fast, and they're probably on a journey from, I don't know, Central America to the North Pole. They're not in a very good mood. What are you thinking? And all of a sudden, my thinking was making a lot of sense to me, and I thought, okay, maybe not. But then I breathed and said, okay, do you want to follow your heart? Do you want to jump into your dream, or do you want to listen to your head? That was making a lot of sense. And it was in that moment that I had to decide whether I was going to be the place of transformation and transform the fears into following that dream and jumping in. And I said yes, and I dove under that wave. And as I did, and I swam out there, the ocean became alive with the sounds of the dolphins clicking back and forth. It sounded like a Jacques Cousteau TV show that I was in. And as I swam to them, they swam to me, and as if I could almost touch them. One of them even picked up her head and looked into my eye, and I looked into her, and we had a relationship. I got to tell you, Flipper and I, we're best friends right now. But I share that because I want you to recognize you are that point of transformation in your life if you want to jump in, because changing your life is not a casual affair. There is a lot out there that wants to be known, and you get to decide what's going to come through you. Carl Sagan, the astronomer, astrophysicist, he said, there is something somewhere so incredible waiting to be known. And you are that point where it gets to be known. You get to listen to your intuition, that instinctive aspect of yourself that is going to bring it forth, but your head, your mind, your thinking wants to muzzle that. Because I'll tell you what, if you're going to bring forth something new, that means there's got to be change, there's got to be excitement, there's got to be dynamics going on in your life, and your mind likes to have it all in order, and so it has imprisoned your intuition. And it is not a good thing to have your intuition imprisoned by your mind, because what it does to get your attention is, it knocks on you with worry, with anxiety, with migraines. I mean, these psychic, energetic diseases, the chronic fatigue syndromes and the depressions are just plaguing our world. And the way you move through them is choose to trust that intuition. And I'm here to assure you, you've got good intuition. You've got good instincts. And I know that because it's in your DNA. You see, back in our ancestor days, the ones that ran around with the saber-toothed tigers, they had to have good instinct. They had to have good intuition so they didn't become dinner. It's like you are the hybrid of that DNA and genetic structure. Inside of you is that which has the ability to deal with what's going on. And there's always something going on in life. Have you noticed that? It's like, oh, no, not this. But life gives you these opportunities to make those kind of corrections you need if you're paying attention to the intuitive side that says, listen here. There was this young woman, end of the day, got on the commuter train, closed her eyes. All she wanted to do was go to sleep on her way home. And as the train pulled out of the station, the guy next to her pulled out his cell phone and just started talking very loudly. Hey, honey, it's Eric. I know I'm on the 6:30 train, not the 4:30 train, but I had to work late. No, it wasn't with the cute blonde in accounting. I was working with my boss. Honest, honey, you're the only one for me. Cross my heart, I promise you. And this kind of syrupy conversation went on for 10, 15 minutes when the young girl next to him just finally had enough and leaned over and said into his phone, Eric, would you close that phone and come back to bed? Well, I got to tell you, Eric doesn't use his phone in public anymore. Life has a way of catching your attention. And so we can talk about our dramas and our challenges, and there's always going to be challenges. The gas prices are always going to be rising. Your health insurance policies are going to be escalating. There is always going to be Mercury going into retrograde, and your clients canceling you, and alien invasions, and the list goes on. And you know what? I don't want to hear your dramas. I want to hear your dreams. I want to hear what your destiny is. I want to hear what turns you on, gets you excited, makes you go out there and take on the world and jump in with everything you've been given. This is what is stirring in your soul, and this is what's going to make the difference in your life. And now in the business world, people get stirred and they get this intuitive hit, and they're clear that if they don't do it, someone else is going to do it first. But the artists, which we all are, we're all part of the social artistry that is out there. The artists have the sense that if they don't do it, it will never be done. It's never going to happen. No one will write that book if I don't do it, or play that music, or sing that song. And so what I want to do is encourage you to follow your inner rock star. What I want you to do, when was the last time someone told you to listen to your inner rock star and told you you were anointed, that you were here to jump into this world and not to hold back, to walk out to the edge of that bluff and just defy gravity and spread your wings, and you'll discover you don't sink, you soar. What inspires you is not the fear, not the concerns, not those graphs or the challenges, but you have been anointed. You have inside of you something that wants to honor a new frequency, a new vibration, a new call, that you hear the cry of the planet that it is you are here to do something. You are that place to which spirit wants to express itself. Ernest Holmes, he's the writer of a book called The Science of Mind. He says, we live in a realm of infinite possibilities that are forever seeking to express itself. Well, I'm here to tell you it's seeking to express through you, and it's knocking on your intuition, and your head's got it muzzled. You've got a genius inside of you. You don't need the simple 29 steps to jumping into life when you got the moves down. You know, we've got so much information going on out there in this information age that we forget to listen to the wisdom that is within our heart, that is within our soul. People are getting their information from that afternoon talk show consultants, and they're forgetting about the genius of their own being. In this information age, the high-tech, low-touch with the iPads, iPhones, iTouch, iPods, we forget about the I am of our being. You have got something inside of you that is great, that wants to come out, and it only comes out if you're willing to jump into life and risk exposing yourself to the world with what it is that you have. It is time for you to take back your destiny from those old belief systems that, I came from a dysfunctional home and I had this bad situation and I was betrayed. And you know what? I don't doubt that. I have heard some horrific stories of pain, but it's only an aspect of who you are. It's only one piece of who you are. You are so much more than that. And so when something goes wrong, Elvis Presley says, you don't have to go with it. You know, you can hold on to the negativity if you want, but I want to share with you the epitaph on the tombstone of a negative guy. It said, I knew this would happen. You can know that's going to happen, but I'm telling you right now, you're going to have those happenings and those challenges and those difficulties. And it's what you do with it. If you let it anger you, I want you to be clear that whoever angers you controls you. The Buddha said that nowhere in the world can you still hatred with more hatred. You can only still it with non-hatred. It's an eternal law. It's the eternal love. And so when that anger starts going inside of you because of a dynamic, stepping back is the best way forward. It's up to you so you don't get sucked into the dynamic. There's people out there who've got big problems, and then there's people out there who make their problems big. You know any of those folks? Yeah, so you don't have to raise your hand. There was this jumper. The guy was going to jump off a bridge, commit suicide, and fortunately, there was an officer walking by, and he saw the dynamic in the situation. And he started talking to this potential jumper, and he got closer. And as he got real close, he sat down with him and said, tell me, what could be so bad in your life that you would want to take your life? And so he started in. He said his wife left him for another man. She took everything that they had. his company, his partner pulled fraud, and now he's gone bankrupt. All his friends have left him, and the story went on for about 30 minutes, and then they both jumped. That's what happens when you get sucked into those negative stories. I am here to inspire you. I don't want to hear your dramas. I don't want to hear the villains. I don't want to hear about the idiots and the jerks in your life. I want to hear what gets you going, so you want to leap off that cliff and jump into life because you have been entrusted with something that is powerful and wonderful. And as you move through life, you get to call forth from you some leadership skills. And these leadership skills are for those who can see what's going on, those issues, those problems, and address them before they become an emergency in your life. And this is true individually. This is true within business. And life will continue to give you the feedback in your life. And are you able to respond? I always enjoyed the story George Carlin used to share about going into a bookstore and asking the sales clerk, where that self-help section was for the books. And she looked at him and said, "Now, if I were to tell you, that would kind of defeat the purpose, wouldn't it?" Life has the answers, but it doesn't give it to you up front. See, life is continuously a place where you get to bring forth your gift, your expression, and your personality. Mary was this woman who went into a hair salon. As she got there, the person who was to work with her, the beautician, I guess you call, said, "I can start, but Mrs. Smith, who's under the dryer, she has a doctor's appointment right after we're done here. So as soon as she's done having her hair dried out, I've got to bring her over and comb it out." And she said, "No problem." And sure enough, as she was working on her, the buzzer went off on the hair dryer, and Mrs. Smith was done. And so they took Mrs. Smith's wheelchair over, and they helped her get back into the wheelchair and pulled her over. And as they were finishing combing her out, her husband drove up. You could see him park his car outside the window, and he came on in and filled out a check for her permanent and, draped her coat over his arm and just patiently waited for her, and they wheeled her over. He stepped back and said, "You know what, sweetheart? I don't think we should go to that party tonight." She looked at him with a sense of just sadness and said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, you look so beautiful. I'm afraid somebody's going to steal you from me." And so that is just being so present in the moment with what it is that needs to be. And part of being current or present for life is being able to have the conviction to act and to say what needs to be said, and also the conviction to be able to wait and to trust. It's like two sides of the same coin. Musicians, they know when they have the faith to act, to make the sound, and then they have the faith to wait for the appropriate time. And if you're up there observing life, that is appropriate, but at some point you've got to come down off that cliff. And life is going to constantly give you the opportunity to step forward, to step in, and bring what it is you have, because it is continual. It is not a constant. There was a farmer who once said that the hardest thing about milking cows is they don't stay milked. Life isn't going to stay put when you put it there, and your reasoning mind's going to want to hold it there. But I'm here to tell you, you need to trust something more. Your intuition's pinging as well as your mind. Both of them have the appropriate place in your life. And so I want to challenge you to act more, not on your fear, but on your inspiration, on your dream, on your destiny, so you can jump into life with the gusto that you've been here to bring. Bless you. Thank you.